The sanctity of life from conception to natural death is under threat, not only from abortion. New Jersey is the latest state that will legalize assisted suicide. Democrat Governor Phil Murphy saying he looks forward to signing the new law where terminally ill patients can receive medications that will end their lives. Monsignor Michael Curran is a moral theologian who teaches students at Dunwoodie, the St. Joseph's Seminary in Yonkers. Monsignor, it's always so good to have you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. It's always a
Lawmakers
pleasure.
are arguing, Monsignor, that this right to die should be a law. What on the fundamental aspect of it is wrong with this kind of thinking?
Well, Liz, I think there are a number of things that are wrong with it, but I think if I had to pick out two, the first one would obviously it's a failure to recognize God as the Lord of life, as the one who ultimately decides when we come and when we go, in that sense. But even on another level, it represents to me a kind of an abandonment of the patient and allowing people to come to the conclusion that their life just isn't worth living anymore, which I think is a terribly dangerous thing, assault against human dignity.
Proponents of the law, advocates of the law, say that assisted suicide legislation is supposed to end the suffering of patients. So how do you argue against ending the suffering based on Catholic teaching?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think one of our responsibilities in life as in the human family is to assist each other in situations of suffering. And certainly the medical profession, one of its chief goals is to work on eliminating suffering. But I think the reality of human life is that there's no way to eliminate all suffering, whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual. There's some element that's kind of this side of heaven part of our life. And the far better thing would be to just look at that in reality and do our best to walk with people, to palliative care, to deal with pain, all kinds of emotional support from family and caregivers that can ease the person into letting nature take its course.
So just to clarify that the Catholic Church does not advocate suffering
we certainly don't. We understand our position is realistic in the sense that not only cannot all suffering be eliminated, but there's meaning to that suffering.
Okay. All right, Monsignor, in keeping with this line of thinking, I want to call your attention to a full screen we're about to show you here. 6 states, plus the District of Columbia, have passed suicide laws. Now, we're going to take a look at this map. In red, they are New Jersey, Colorado, the District of Columbia, Hawaii, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. Now, calling your attention to the 2 states in pink, Montana and California, allow suicide with a court order. Which brings us to this. There is no uniform method for carrying out these suicides. Now, what are the dangers with just so many variables in place?
Well, the first thing, you don't want to get sick in those 6 states, that's for sure.
Yes.
But I think the danger is that people who really haven't thought it through, people who might be in a very difficult emotional state at that moment might make a rash judgment. But it just no matter where you are, I think it's just a really allowing people to just be led to believe that their life has no more value.
Monsignor, we have 30 seconds, so I have to ask you, what should be the greatest concern right now about this trend, these new laws about assisted suicide?
I think the greatest concern would be to that we're running the risk of just, as I put it, what is optional now might become mandatory later on, the famous slippery slope.
All right, Monsignor, thank you. You always put it in such great perspective, from the perspective of the church. Thank you for always being here.
My pleasure, always an honor to be here, Liz. Thank you.